Every stripe on this animal is different. No two zebras, not one in the history of the species, have ever shared the same pattern. It's as unique as a human fingerprint. And for over a century, scientists have argued about why. Is it camouflage? A defense against biting flies? A social signal? Or something we haven't even considered yet? Out here, on the open plains of East and Southern Africa, being wrong about the answer can mean the difference between life and death. To understand the zebra, you first have to unlearn something. There isn't just one kind of zebra. There are three. The plains zebra, the one most of us picture broad black and white bands, found from South Sudan all the way down to South Africa. It's the most numerous and the most widespread. The Grévy zebra, taller, more slender, with narrow pinstripes packed tightly together and enormous, rounded ears that make it look almost mule-like. It's the largest of the three, and today, the rarest. And the mountain zebra, a stocky, sure-footed climber found in the rugged terrain of Namibia and South Africa, with a distinctive flap of skin on its throat called a dewlap. Three species, three very different lives, but they share a common ancestor and a family tree that stretches back nearly 4 million years. Zebras belong to the horse family, equity, cousins to domestic horses and donkeys. But somewhere in their evolutionary past, they gained something no horse ever needed, a coat that could save their lives simply by confusing the animal trying to kill them. We'll come back to that mystery. First, let's talk about size. An adult plains zebra stands about 1.3 meters at the shoulder and can weigh up to 350 kilograms, roughly the size of a small horse, but built for a very different kind of life. Zebras can run up to 65 kilometers an hour. Not quite fast enough to outrun a cheetah in a straight sprint, but fast enough combined with sharp zigzagging turns to make themselves a nightmare to catch. And that bite. A zebra's jaw can deliver a bite forceful enough to break bone. Powerful enough, in fact, that a zebra bite is considered more dangerous, pound for pound, than an attack from many predators. Their kick is just as fearsome, capable of shattering a lion's skull in a single blow. This is not a passive prey animal. This is an animal built to fight for its life. But most of a zebra's day isn't spent running or fighting. It's spent doing something far less dramatic and far more essential: eating. A zebra can spend up to 18 hours a day grazing. Grass is tough, low in nutrients, and hard to digest, so zebras have to eat enormous quantities of it just to get by. Unlike cattle or wildebeest, which have multiple stomach chambers to slowly ferment their food, zebras are what's called hindgut fermenters. Their digestive system is less efficient, but it's also faster. That means zebras can survive on lower quality grass than many of the other grazers they share the plains with. That difference is the secret to one of nature's great ecological partnerships. Zebras arrive first at overgrown grasslands and eat down the tall, coarse stalks. Behind them come wildebeest and gazelle, feeding on the shorter, tender grass the zebras have exposed. It's why, every year, zebra and wildebeest move together across the Serengeti Mara ecosystem in one of the largest land migrations on Earth. Over 1.5 million animals, following the rain, chasing fresh grass in a great, endless circuit. Zebras are often called the grazing lawnmowers of the Savanna, and the migration literally could not happen the way it does without them going first. But movement on this scale comes with danger. Rivers swollen with the rains, crocodiles wading beneath the surface, and every crossing is a gamble. Watch closely and you'll notice something. Zebras rarely cross alone. They wait. They test the water with their eyes before their hooves. And once one goes, they all go almost at once. Safety on the savanna is almost always a numbers game, which brings us to the heart of zebra society, how they organize themselves, and why some zebras live in tight-knit families for life, while others don't. Plains zebras and mountain zebras live in stable family units called harems, usually one dominant stallion, several mares, and their young. And remarkably, these bonds can last for years, sometimes for life. This mutual grooming isn't just about hygiene. It reinforces social bonds, reduces stress, and helps the herd recognize each other. Because in a sea of black and white stripes, knowing exactly who belongs to your family matters. A newborn foal can stand within minutes of birth and run with the herd within hours. It has to. In the open savanna, there's nowhere to hide a nursery. For the first few days of a foal's life, the mother will keep it away from the rest of the herd, not for lack of trust, but because of the stripes themselves. In those first critical days, the foal is imprinting on its mother's exact pattern, her smell, her voice, memorizing the one set of stripes in the herd that means safety. Interesting detail. Foals aren't born with true black and white stripes. Their coats start out brown and white, darkening as they mature. Some researchers believe this softer coloring may make young foals less conspicuous to predators in their most vulnerable days. Not every zebra lives in a harem. Young males who haven't yet won mares of their own often band together in bachelor herds, practicing the skills they'll need later: fighting, posturing, testing dominance. When a young stallion is ready, he'll challenge an older male for control of mares or attempt to lure a mare away entirely. These contests can be brutal. Bites and kicks are thrown with real force, and serious injuries do happen. But it's Grévy zebras that break the mold entirely. Unlike their plains and mountain cousins, Grévy zebras don't form permanent family herds at all. Adult males instead hold and defend territory, sometimes for years. And mares move freely between territories, associating with whichever male controls the best grazing and water at the time. It's a completely different social strategy, one shaped by the harsher, more arid landscapes Grévy zebras call home, where resources are too scattered to hold a herd together in one place. Zebras are also surprisingly vocal. That distinctive bark, somewhere between a horse's whinny and a dog's yip, is used to signal alarm, to reunite with family members, even to negotiate social standing. Combined with over a dozen distinct ear and body postures, zebras have a rich language of their own, one that researchers are still working to fully decode. And this posture, standing head to tail with a neck resting across another zebra's back, allows a pair to watch in opposite directions simultaneously. One set of eyes facing forward, one facing back. Together, they see everything. Which brings us, finally, back to the question we opened with: the stripes. Charles Darwin himself puzzled over this. Why would evolution paint an animal in the one pattern that seems to make it more visible, not less, against the golden backdrop of the savanna? For decades, the leading theory was camouflage, that from a distance or in low light, the stripes might blend into tall grass or break up the animal's outline to confuse predators. It's a compelling idea, but when scientists actually tested how lions and hyenas perceive zebra stripes, the evidence didn't hold up. Big cats can detect zebras about as easily as any other prey, even at dusk and dawn when most hunts happen. Visual, simulated predator vision graphic, showing how a lion might perceive color and contrast differently than humans. So if it's not about hiding from predators, what is it for? One of the most well-supported theories today involves something much smaller than a lion: biting flies. Tsetse flies and horseflies carry diseases that can be lethal to equids. Researchers have run experiments comparing striped surfaces to solid-colored ones, coating horses in zebra print coats, for instance, and found that flies struggle to land on striped patterns. The leading explanation is optical. The stripes may disrupt a fly's ability to judge speed and distance during its landing approach, causing it to misjudge and pull away at the last second. It's not that flies can't see the zebra. It's that the stripes seem to scramble their flight calculations. Visual, slow motion of a fly attempting to land on stripes and veering off unexpectedly. There are other theories too, and they may not be mutually exclusive. Some researchers believe stripes help with thermoregulation, that black stripes heat up faster than white ones, creating tiny air currents across the zebra's skin that provide a cooling effect in the brutal African heat. Others argue for a social function, that in a herd of galloping stripes, an individual zebra becomes harder for a predator to single out. This is sometimes called the confusion effect, or even nicknamed the motion dazzle hypothesis. A fast-moving mass of clashing black and white patterns may make it genuinely difficult for a predator's brain to track one target and commit to a chase. The honest answer, all these decades after Darwin first asked the question, is that it's probably not just one explanation. It may be flies and heat and camouflage and motion and social recognition, all working together. Different pressures over millions of years, all pointing in the same striped direction. Nature rarely settles for a single reason when several will do. For all their speed and their strength, zebras remain one of the primary prey species for Africa's big predators: lions, hyenas, wild dogs, and crocodiles at the river crossings. It's a relationship as old as the savanna itself, and the zebra's survival strategies, the herd, the stripes, the kick, the bite, are all a response to that constant pressure. But increasingly, the greatest threat to zebras doesn't come from claws or teeth. It comes from us. Habitat loss, fencing that blocks ancient migration routes, competition with livestock for grazing land, and in some regions, poaching for meat and hides. All of it has taken a toll. Plain zebras remain the most numerous, but their numbers have still declined significantly over the past few decades. Mountain zebras, once hunted to the brink, have slowly recovered thanks to dedicated conservation programs in South Africa and Namibia. But it's the Grévy zebra that faces the gravest danger. Fewer than 3,000 are estimated to remain in the wild today, making it one of the most endangered large mammals in Africa, a steep fall from tens of thousands just a century ago. Conservationists are fighting back. Community-led conservancies in northern Kenya now work directly with local herders to protect grazing land for both zebras and livestock. Wildlife corridors are being restored, allowing herds to reach water sources that were cut off for generations. And ongoing research into zebra genetics and behavior is helping shape smarter, more targeted protection efforts. There are signs of hope, but the story of the zebra's future is still being written, and how it ends depends largely on choices being made right now, far from the savanna, in boardrooms and parliaments and marketplaces around the world. Every stripe tells a story of survival. Millions of years of flies and heat and predators and family, all written onto a single coat in black and white. No two patterns alike. No two stories the same. And yet, together, they move as one. Across rivers, across grasslands, across the changing map of a continent that still, for now, has room for them to run.